Today, we are getting right under the hood of our own biology to figure out one of its most complicated and, frankly, scary diseases, cancer. And we're going to use a really simple but powerful analogy to guide us through it all. A car that's gone completely rogue. So let's turn the key. So the big question is, what actually happens inside one of our cells that makes it just break all the rules and start dividing like crazy? Well, it all boils down to a total system failure. A catastrophic breakdown in the internal controls that are supposed to keep everything running smoothly. Okay, so before we can really understand the crash, we have to learn the normal rules of the road, right? We need to see how a healthy, well-behaved cell is supposed to operate every single day. Now, the basic driving manual for any cell is something called the cell cycle. Just think of it as this really orderly sequence of events that takes a cell from the moment it's created, through its growth phase, and all the way to the point where it divides into two new cells. It's a beautifully regulated process when it works. This cell cycle is broken down into a few distinct phases. You've got the G1 phase, where the cell is just, growing and doing its job. Then you hit the S phase, and this one is super important. It's where the cell copies its entire DNA blueprint. After that, there's another little growth spurt in G2, and then comes the grand finale, mitosis, where it actually splits in two. It's predictable, it's structured, and it's absolutely essential for life. But what makes this whole thing so reliable are these built-in safety inspections. The G1 checkpoint is probably the most critical. It's where the cell basically stops and asks, hey, is everything good to go before I start copying on my DNA? And if it finds any damage, it has two choices. It can hit pause and try to make repairs, or if the damage is just too bad, it can trigger a self-destruct sequence. It's an amazing safety feature called apoptosis. So how does the cell manage all of this stopping and going? Well, it all comes down to two opposing teams of genes, and we can think of them as the car's most important controls, the gas pedal and the brake pedal. On one side, you have what are called proto-oncogenes. These are the gas pedal. Their entire job is to make proteins that tell the cell, go, it's time to divide, time to grow. It's a positive go signal. And on the other side, you have the tumor suppressor genes. You guessed it, they're the brake pedal. They do the exact opposite, producing proteins that scream, stop, hold on, halt the cycle, we need to check for damage. It's a system of perfect, delicate balance. But what happens when not perfect balance is shattered? Let's look at the first scenario. What happens when the gas pedal gets stuck to the floor? Okay, so when a normal proto-oncogene gets damaged by a certain kind of mutation, it transforms. It turns into something we call an oncogene. And an oncogene is basically just a broken gas pedal. It's either making way too many go signals, or the signals it is making are stick in the on position, constantly pushing the cell to divide, no matter what. The danger here is just immense. There's a quote that describes it perfectly. It's like leaving a brick on the gas pedal and going to take a nap in the back seat. The cell is now a runaway vehicle, just hurtling towards division with absolutely no one at the wheel. And this isn't just a theoretical idea. This stuff happens. In a cancer called Burkitt lymphoma, a gene called MYC literally gets picked up and moved to a totally different chromosome. And this new location basically hotwires it, flipping it into a permanent on state. Or look at chronic myeloid leukemia. Two completely separate genes can accidentally get fused together, creating a brand new, freakish oncogene that just tells blood cells to divide and divide and divide. A stuck accelerator is bad enough. That's a huge problem. But what happens if, at the exact same time, you find out your brake lines have been cut? Well, that's the other half of this story. So let's go back to those tumor suppressor genes, the brake pedal. Their whole reason for being is to act as the cell's safety system. They're the ones that are supposed to sense DNA damage, slam the brakes on the cell cycle, and even trigger that self-destruct sequence to get rid of a dangerous cell. They are absolutely critical for keeping things in check. Two of the most famous tumor suppressors have actually earned some really cool nicknames. First, there's the RB protein. It's known as the governor. It acts like a parking brake, physically holding back the machinery that would otherwise push the cell forward. And then there's the P53 protein, and this one's known as the guardian of the genome. It is the ultimate DNA damage sensor. This guardian, P53, is so fundamentally important to keeping us healthy that it was actually crowned Molecule of the Year back in 1993. Think about that. How many molecules get their own award? That's how big of a deal this one protein is. But why? Well, the reason it's so important, it all comes down to one absolutely mind-blowing number.
Over 70%, that's right, more than 70% of human cancers are linked to a mutated, broken version of this one gene, P53. So in the vast majority of cancer cases, this guardian, this essential brake pedal is just gone. The cell has lost its main defense, its ability to stop itself when things go horribly wrong.
So now we have the complete picture. The accelerator is jammed to the floor and the brakes are completely shot. This is the recipe for an inevitable disaster. Now, there's a really key difference in how these two systems fail. For the gas pedal, the oncogenes, you only need one of your two copies of the gene to go bad. It's what we call a dominant mutation. One faulty pedal is enough to jam the accelerator. But for the brakes, the tumor suppressors, you have a backup. We all have two copies of these genes. So as long as one is still working, you still have some braking power. You need to lose both copies to completely cut the brakes.
And this is the final, terrifying result. When a cell has a hyperactive oncogene screaming, "Go!" and its tumor suppressors are mutated and silent, unable to scream, "Stop," there's nothing left to hold it back. And that's the cellular crash we call cancer. Relentless, uncontrolled, dangerous division.
After seeing how catastrophically this system can fail, it really makes you stop and think. Our bodies have trillions of cells, and they're dividing all the time. The fact that these accelerators and these brakes work correctly almost every single time, it isn't just remarkable, it's an absolute testament to the incredible resilience that's been engineered into life itself.